Incredible rescue. 5 years apart. The shelter dog's touching reaction will leave you inspired. Sarah paced the sterile confines of her clinic, the air thick with the scent of antiseptic and a lingering hint of desperation. Once a flourishing sanctuary for animals and their humans, it now teetered on the brink of closure. Bills piled high like unwanted patients, and with each passing day, the hope of saving her beloved practice felt further out of reach. Guilt gnawed at her gut, a visceral reminder of the price she paid to keep her dreams alive. Max. The name echoed through her thoughts, a reminder of the spirit who once filled her life with joy. Had she truly acted in his best interest when she sent him away? In a moment of clarity that now felt like madness, she had surrendered him, a decision rooted in love. But it had shattered her heart. A smooth collar hanging in the clinic, faintly scented with his fur, taunted her. Was it right to chase financial stability at the cost of their bond? Every time she pushed open the clinic door, a pang of longing struck. The memory of Max's playful yips replaying like a broken record. The pressure of keeping this place afloat swallowed her whole. But the weight of her past choices threatened to crush her spirit even more. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Desperation clawed at Sarah as she worked endless hours, transforming her clinic into a haven for the forgotten. Through animal rehabilitation, she discovered renewed resolve, yet shadows of regret loomed large. As she mended bodies, could she mend her own heart? The voices of doubt crept in, drowning out progress with echoes of her decision. Flashbacks of Max, his ears flopping in the wind as they ran together, haunted her during sleepless nights, twisting the knife of separation deeper. Then came the day of an innocuous family picnic, oblivious to the whirlwind about to unfold. Max felt the familiar pull of his past. A scent lingering in the air ignited his spirit. An ache in his chest spurred him into action. He broke free from the confines of his yard, racing down the streets that should have felt so familiar, yet tinged with a taste of the forbidden. As Max bounded closer to the clinic, Sarah stood trapped, frozen in recognition. Her heart raced, not with anticipation, but a tempest of emotions crashed over her. It was him. The playful bark, the bounding leap, all moments wrapped in nostalgia lay before her, begging for acknowledgement. The electric connection surged between them, powerful and raw, reminding Sarah of everything she had tried to forget. Could they bridge the gap formed by time and choices? Memories and unspoken regrets swirled, creating a tempest of longing mingled with resolved guilt in the air between them. The moment, though poignant, brought no answers, just the haunting question: had her love for Max ever truly ceased? As she took a tentative step forward, tension rippled through her, leaving her breathless, both hopeful and terrified. With Max's soulful eyes staring back, all that was unresolved loomed large in the fragile space between them, leaving readers to grapple with whether redemption and healing could find a way home. The roar of emotion that swelled in Sarah left her throat dry. As she knelt down, her fingers brushed the collar still hanging on the clinic door, a tether to the past she had tried to escape. Max's presence loomed large, threatening to upend her carefully laid plans. Questions pounded in her mind, each one more daunting than the last. What if she had made a terrible mistake? What if they were never meant to be apart? Max tilted his head, understanding blossoming in his eyes as he took a hesitant step closer. The memories flooded back, laughing together during walks, his velvety warmth next to her on cold nights. With every moment shared, Sarah felt the gnawing regret tighten around her, but equally a surge of determination ignited within her. What had she really lost? With the world around her fading, Sarah's focus narrowed. She could either choose to be consumed by her failure, or embrace the possibility of healing. Her heart raced as she locked eyes with Max, a living reminder of her choices. In that moment, Sarah realized that redemption wouldn't be simply about reconciliations, but about acceptance and growth. If they were to mend their bond, she needed to confront the guilt and fear that shackled her. She smiled cautiously at first, then with growing confidence. "I've missed you, buddy," she whispered, breath catching in her throat. A tentative wag of Max's tail spurred her on. It felt like a lifeline thrown her way. Impulse propelled Sarah to reach out, fingers intertwining with Max's fur as he leaned into her touch. Love ignited, driving her to explore the possibility of using this encounter, not just to heal herself, but to revitalize her clinic. Dual motivations intertwined, her need for emotional repair and a fledgling hope for the practice's future. Could Max symbolize not only a personal revival, but a professional one? Determined, she straightened her back. If the bond they once shared could be revived, perhaps they could be a team in the clinic again, the mascot aiding in healing both heart and spirit. An idea sparked in her mind. What if they held an adoption day for the struggling stray animals in her care? The excitement bubbled within her. Sarah could picture it. The clinic filled with hopeful families, laughter punctuated with happy barks. But first, she had to rebuild that bond with Max, to show him that she was ready to right her wrong. Though she had sent him away years ago, the love between them never died. With renewed intent, Sarah transformed her worries into action. She began researching strategies for the event, mulling over marketing plans she had long neglected. Alongside this, she devoted time to rebuilding Max's trust, showering him with affection, and engaging him in activities that brought back their shared joy. Each day became a step forward, not just in repairing her mission, but in redefining her purpose. Yet old fears crept in. What if Max didn't feel the same? What if her efforts fell short, and she lost him again? These thoughts hung heavy, lurking in the shadows of vulnerability. However, Sarah pushed forward, for each moment spent with Max felt electric, stitching the frayed edges of their history. As she registered the anticipation building in the air, she could barely catch her breath. The upcoming adoption event was already drawing the attention of the community. But was she also prepared for the revelations regarding her past choices? These thoughts lingered as another unsettling realization settled in her brain. There were also hidden complexities to unearth about Max's life away from her. What if his experience changed him in ways she didn't foresee? With her heart racing and doubts whispering in her ear, Sarah vowed to embrace whatever lay ahead. The moment of truth had arrived, not only for her and Max, but also for the future of her clinic. Would love prevail, or would the burdens of the past threaten their chance at happiness? As the days passed, Sarah found herself enveloped in a rhythm that alternated between the mundane and the exhilarating. Each morning, she started at the clinic with a purpose that felt almost foreign. The energy between her and Max was palpable, a bond reformed not merely by shared memories but by shared determination. Sarah assigned herself into a routine where Max became not just a companion, but an integral part of her daily activities. They began to walk together every morning, her feet quickly adjusting to the cadence of his paws, striking the earth. During these excursions, the clinic transformed from a sanctuary of regret to a lively reminder of potential. Max guided her, nudging her forward during tricky moments and reminding her to relish the simplicity of the present. But for every step forward, the shadows of doubt loomed like dark clouds. Was Max really ready to forgive her? During their quiet moments at home, when her thoughts spiraled into what-ifs, she caught herself studying his expression. Watchful and eager, yet undoubtedly altered by time apart. Those were the moments that sparked an unsettling anxiety within her, one she couldn't shake as she prepared for the upcoming event, focused on rescuing the animals that reflected her journey. Driven by the new vision of her practice, Sarah dove deeper into planning the adoption day. She brushed up on her marketing skills, meticulously designing flyers that reflected not only Max's charm, but the love that had spurred its design. There, amidst the outlining color schemes and slogans, she discovered a hidden talent for branding. It ignited a flame of creativity she thought had been extinguished. Yet, as the day drew closer, Sarah realized that every decision she made had the potential to unearth feelings of inadequacy. She had let her clinic slip into neglect, and had distanced herself from her passion during those years away from Max. Now that she was approaching the brink of a new chapter, an uncomfortable truth surfaced. What if she failed again, publicly and painfully? What if the community witnessed her downfall, the very scenario she tried to escape? In the quiet confines of her office one late afternoon, willpower surged through her as she suppressed her doubts. She caught Max looking at her, his eyes reflecting a deep understanding. It dawned on her that perhaps her greatest challenge wasn't just about Max's acceptance, but also about her acceptance of her past. This was where the duality of her growth took center stage. She had cultivated an expertise in animal care over those years. Each animal brought its own story of resilience, and now she needed to embody that spirit herself. Confronting these fears became less about silencing them and more about inviting them into her awareness. While organizing the final details, a moment of clarity struck. The practice of reaching out had begun long before Max's return. It was time to harness what she learned not only to promote the adoption day, but to build an emotional connection that would motivate others to join her cause. By sharing her journey of loss and rediscovery, she could craft a narrative that went beyond mere marketing. With electrifying resolve, Sarah grabbed her phone and began recording a video. She told her story candidly, about Max, about the regrets, but most importantly, about the second chances waiting for all of them. As she hit send, she felt a rush, excitement tinged with a taste of vulnerability. Would they embrace her honesty, or would her fears resurface? The anticipation of the upcoming day morphed into a binding energy, complicating her emotions. The next morning promised a reckoning. Uncertainty loomed over the adoption day, thickening the air and adding a weight to her steps. Would Max inspire others, as he had inspired her? The countdown had begun, and alongside the fading shadows of doubt, a fierce fire ignited within. Unbeknownst to Sarah, as she readied herself in the clinic, an unexpected visitor was closing the gap between the present and the past, someone who would bring a confluence of emotions echoing the very heart of her journey. As dawn broke, Sarah moved through the clinic with a sense of urgency that pulsed through her veins. Her heart raced, not from fear alone, but from an exhilarating cocktail of hope and tenacity. Max trotted beside her, his presence a steady anchor against the whirlwind of emotions swarming within. Today was the adoption day she had envisioned, but the weight of her self-imposed expectations bore heavily on her. Every corner of the clinic seemed to breathe life, from the colorful banners she had hung to the sound of eager barks echoing off the walls. Yet amidst the chaos of preparations, anxiety crept in. What if no one showed up? What if her vulnerability backfired? These questions twisted in her mind like storm clouds blocking the sun's warmth. As she set the final touches, a soft nudge against her leg startled her. Max's deep, affectionate gaze pulled her back. "You're right," she whispered, crouching down to meet his level. "We've come too far to let fear dictate today." It was in this moment, as she felt his warm breath on her hand, that a realization washed over her. Today not only represented a chance at redemption for the animals, it was a pivotal moment for her too. The ringing of a bell broke the silence, signaling the arrival of the first visitors. Families entered, laughter mingling with the barking of excited dogs. Sarah positioned herself at the entrance, forcing a smile even as her heart raced. Each interaction with potential adopters called into question her past failures, but she met each gaze with a raw sincerity. She shared Max's story and how their reunion had revitalized her spirit. Was it enough? With each conversation, a strange kind of confidence began to emerge. People showed genuine interest, and she found herself promoting not just the dogs, but the essence of what they represented: renewal and resilience. One couple stayed longer than others. Their interest peaked. As Sarah spoke about Max, she felt the weight of her past begin to alternatively lift and shift, as if acknowledging her journey was also allowing her to reclaim parts of herself. But just as her heart began to swell with pride, everything came to an abrupt halt as the door swung open again. The unexpected visitor entered, cloaked in an aura of nostalgia. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It was Claire, her former business partner. The memories flooded back, the late night strategizing, the fights, and ultimately, their painful separation. "Sarah," Claire called, her voice a mixture of surprise and warmth. "I heard about today and just had to come." Sarah's heart pounded. Could this be an opportunity for reconciliation, or just a painful reminder of what had transpired? Hi Claire," she managed, her voice laced with trepidation. Sarah turned to gather her thoughts as Claire walked closer, her own golden retriever beside her. A lingering silence thickened the air, buried underneath the joy of the day. In that moment, Sarah confronted a deeper conflict within. Would she allow her past with Claire to overshadow her present? Should she open up the wound of their shared history, risking the progress she had made? The stakes had suddenly become more personal than she had anticipated. As Sarah felt the weight of Claire's gaze upon her, the unspoken tension hung heavy, teasing the edges of a pivotal confrontation. In that charged moment, she realized that the potential for growth didn't lie solely in the adoption of animals, but also in her willingness to face the complexities of her own relationships. The air grew electric as Sarah prepared to make a decision that would test her fundamental values of trust and forgiveness. Would she embrace the possibility of reconciliation, or would she protect herself from the shadows of her past? The door swung again, and the next wave of visitors entered, their excitement not dimmed by the emotional whirlwind unfolding within her. As she glanced down at Max, his unwavering loyalty reminded her of the importance of facing challenges head-on. The moment hung heavy, a crossroads threatening to reshape the very essence of her journey. What path would she choose? The air suddenly felt thick, electrified with possibilities, as Claire approached. Sarah's heart raced, not just from the memories that resurfaced, but from the weight of decision pressing down on her. She could ignore Claire, slip away, and dive back into what had seemed like a successful day. Or she could confront the past head-on and potentially alter the trajectory of both their futures. Max, sensing her tension, nudged her hand insistently, grounding her even in the whirlwind of emotions. "Are you okay?" Claire's voice broke through, soft and tentative. For a moment, Sarah was lost in the memories, the laughter shared over coffee, the arguments that erupted in heated passion, and the hollow silence that followed their abrupt split. Just weeks before their partnership dissolved, Claire had been her confidant and collaborator. Now, standing there, she felt like a ghost from a painful chapter. "I'm managing," Sarah replied, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than a greeting. She could feel a knot tighten in her stomach as she contemplated how to bridge the chasm between them. Could she express her resentment without igniting old fires? Would doing so reveal the personal growth she had fought hard to achieve? "You look great," Claire said, an unexpected warmth lacing her words. "I followed your work after we parted ways. I'm truly impressed." Sarah's eyes narrowed slightly. The compliment came tinged with an old instinct to compete, to defend. "Thanks. That means a lot," she replied cautiously, testing the waters. She felt a flicker of pride bursting through her anxiety, realizing how far she had come since their split. The clinic stood as a testament to her resilience, a manifestation of her dreams. "So, today's the big day, huh?" Claire's smile was genuine but tinged with nostalgia, her golden retriever sniffing curiously at Max's tail. Sarah glanced down, stealing a moment to gather her thoughts. The dogs, even in their innocence, felt like a mirror reflecting the complexities between them. "Yes, it is," Sarah said, taking a breath. There was no turning back now. "It's a chance for renewal, for them and me. I never thought I would say it, but this has become more than I expected." Her voice wavered at the end, showcasing the emotional underpinning that had become her reality, the awakening of her purpose, now intertwined with her vulnerability. "Good for you," Claire said, genuine admiration radiating from her blue eyes. "I'm proud of you." Those words broke something within Sarah, an urge to cry, to laugh, to rage. It felt unnerving to accept praise from someone who once knew her so intimately, yet here they were, two women fractured by the past, standing in the remnants of what once was. The tension in the room swelled as their eyes locked, both grappling internally with a mix of unresolved feelings. "What do you want from this?" Sarah's voice stumbled out, raw and honest. "Are you here to reconcile or to judge how I've handled things without you?" Claire's expression shifted, a flicker of vulnerability crossing her features. "Maybe I'm here for both," she replied, her admission an unexpected opening. "I miss the days when it was just us against the world." The confrontation lingered in the air, poised delicately between longing and ambiguity. Sarah felt her defenses waver, her heart pulling in two directions, toward the promise of what could be, and the protective wall she had built meticulously since the fallout. Just as she contemplated the path forward, a family walked in, excitement radiating from their every move. Their presence shifted the atmosphere, reminding Sarah of the tangible purpose at the heart of all this. She had to make a choice, not just about Claire, but about herself. "Let's talk later," she said finally, the resolution in her voice stealing her resolve. "Right now, there's some very deserving dogs that need our attention." As she turned away from Claire, she felt something deep within her realign. This was not just a personal growth opportunity in her work. It was a profound lesson in understanding herself better. The decisions she faced today were ultimately leading her toward a deeper understanding of forgiveness, both to herself and those she once held dear. But as the laughter of the family filled the room, Sarah couldn't shake off the question that lingered in her mind. Would her renewed strength be enough to allow healing in her relationships? And when would the moment come to solidify this newfound chapter that lay so tantalizingly close? Amid the chatter and laughter, Sarah quickly redirected her focus to the family's mingling with the dogs, embracing the weight of responsibility she had chosen to carry. Each wagging tail and bright-eyed dog represented more than just an opportunity for adoption. They were the embodiment of hopes, second chances, and healing, precisely the journey she was on herself. As she engaged with the first family, a nervous yet eager couple hoping to bring a new dog into their home, she felt a surge of purpose. Her conversations flowed easily, filled with laughter and anecdotes about the dog's quirks and personalities, all carefully designed to connect those tiny, fragile beings to loving homes. She moved from one interaction to another, her old insecurities buried under layers of growth and newfound confidence. Yet, the shadow of her earlier confrontation loomed just beneath the surface, tugging at her thoughts like an incessant whisper. Each time she glanced towards Claire, standing off to the side, an old mix of emotions prickled at her. Vulnerability, anger, longing. Together, they had once been formidable, a force to be reckoned with. Now those memories felt both intoxicating and alien. As the afternoon progressed, Sarah found herself stealing glances at Claire. Each recognition sparked a contemplation within, the realization that this moment was not merely about the dogs and the event, but also about her own narrative, one intertwined with Claire's. Could she navigate the waters of their past without capsizing what she had worked so hard to build? "Hey, do you think Max would do well with kids?" A little girl, sparkly-eyed, tugged at her sleeve, oblivious to the tempest swirling in Sarah's heart. The question pulled her back into the present, forcing her to give her full attention. "He loves to play fetch, but is he gentle?" Forcing her gaze away from Claire, Sarah knelt to the girl's height and smiled. "Absolutely. He's a big softy at heart. He loves nothing more than to chase after tennis balls and have all the cuddles from children." The girl lit up, her excitement infectious. As they gathered the family to meet Max, Sarah felt a swell of contentment wash over her. Perhaps this was the crux of her journey. Not just opening the shelter, but cultivating connections, fostering a sense of community, and finding fulfillment in lifting others up as she had done for herself. However, as she wrapped up the interaction and returned to her post, the tug of unresolved emotions surged once more. Claire remained just a few feet away, engaged in conversations of her own, yet Sarah felt deeply divided, precariously balancing an urge for connection with the fear of vulnerability. With the day winding down, Sarah sensed it was almost time to gather her thoughts and make a choice. She could allow old wounds to fester, to retreat back into her world, or she could step forward in a way that embraced forgiveness, both for Claire and for herself. The possibility that their paths might forge a new understanding tingled on the edge of her consciousness, a fragile thread waiting to be woven into a larger narrative. As a particularly rambunctious puppy bounded past, knocking into her legs, Sarah stumbled but found her footing, grasping the enthusiasm and innocence of the moment. Perhaps this was a metaphor for what lay ahead. Joy and chaos intertwined, requiring steady, deliberate steps to navigate. "What are you thinking?" Claire's voice broke through her reverie, unexpected yet inviting. The curiosity in her tone mixed with tension, sparking unanswered questions in Sarah's mind. In that moment, Sarah knew she had to decide, not just for herself, but for Claire and the pieces of them that still existed amidst the rubbles of their past. "I was just thinking about how easy it is to trip, but how healing it can also be," Sarah replied, her voice steady despite the storm within. "If you're willing to stay, I'd like to talk. For real this time." As Claire's eyes softened, holding the weight of that unspoken conversation, Sarah could feel a crack forming in the wall she had built. The question loomed in the air like an unsung melody. Would this be the moment they both chose to embrace the messiness of their history to carve out a new future? Or would the ghosts of the past still haunt them? As Claire took a moment to respond, the air around them thickened with unspoken thoughts. Sarah's heart raced, torn between the desire to bridge the chasm of their past and the instinct to protect herself from potential hurt. Realizing this was an opportunity to grow, to break free from the shadows that had haunted her, she took a deep breath, channeling the strength she had discovered over the ensuing months. "Yeah," Claire finally said, her voice a mix of hesitation and hope. "I'd like that." The weight of her words settled between them, a fragile truce suspended in the swirling energy of the day. Sarah gestured towards a secluded corner of the shelter, away from the families and the clamor of joyful reunions. The quiet urgency of their situation pushed her to move, each step deliberate as she led Claire away from the crowd. As they settled onto a pair of worn benches against the wall, Sarah forced herself to focus, peeling back the layers of emotion that wrapped around her heart like vines. "I've been thinking," she began, carefully choosing her words, "about how we've let the past define us. Instead of moving forward, we've remained stuck, and it's time to change that." Claire's eyes flickered, revealing a mix of recognition and challenge. "We weren't the same people then, Sarah. We hurt each other." "I know," Sarah replied, her voice even. "But hurt doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can also be the beginning of something healthy, something new." The earnestness in Sarah's tone seemed to soften Claire, just a touch. "What if we can't find our way back to what we used to be?" she asked, the vulnerability creeping into her voice. "Maybe it's not about going back," Sarah proposed, leaning forward. "Maybe it's about figuring out what we can build now. Look at what we've done with the shelter. We've got something great here. We can collaborate. We can learn from each other, grow from what happened." Claire studied her, and for a moment, they shared a silent understanding, a tentative hope of reconciliation slowly emerging from the ashes of their past. "You've changed," Claire finally said, her expression shifting from guarded to curious. "I can see it in your confidence. The Sarah I knew wouldn't have challenged me like this." "I had to," Sarah admitted, her voice thick with emotion. "I realized that if I stayed unhappy, I would never be able to help anyone else. Not the dogs, not the families, certainly not you. I needed to confront what was holding me back to make room for what really matters." Claire nodded slowly, absorbing Sarah's words. They had once defined love through laughter and strength, yet their shared history had been laced with misunderstandings and pain. It felt surreal to confront those fractured memories head-on, rather than burying them deeper. "You're right," Claire uttered, surprising herself. "And I'd like to be part of this new chapter too." A surge of relief washed over Sarah. "Let's put our skills together, our strengths. We can create something better than we had before." But just as clarity seemed to settle between them, a sudden discordant bark from the shelter interrupted the moment. A small dog had skittered past, its collar jingling, causing Sarah's heart to leap. The juxtaposition of laughter and uncertainty reminded her that nothing in life was ever neatly categorized or predictable. I hope we can do this, Sarah," Claire murmured, a hint of fear lacing her tone. "We will," Sarah asserted firmly, the determination rising within her. "We'll take it step by step, and I think it will be worth it." As they shared a tentative smile, an idea clicked into place in Sarah's mind, a spark of inspiration in the midst of their budding resolution. She recalled how some dogs took time to train before they became wonderful companions, needing affection, patience, and care. "I want to come up with a program," Sarah pitched, her excitement bubbling up. "One that helps people understand the journey of fostering, a way to share our experiences. We can even do workshops here." A fire ignited in Claire's eyes, filled with a mix of apprehension and excitement. That could actually work yet if we get it right. With renewed purpose between them, the possibilities unfurled. Yet deep down, both women knew that this fragile foundation came with risks. As Sarah considered the challenges ahead, an uneasy feeling settled within her, a realization that their past was far from resolved. Would their collaboration withstand both external pressures and internal doubts? Just as an unexpected challenge loomed on the horizon, they exchanged hopeful glances, ready to dive into the unknown. The shelter, a sanctuary built on resilience and love, had set the stage for a journey unlike any other. What would it take to truly heal, not just as individuals but as partners? Sarah felt the weight of their conversations lingering in the air, pushing her to embrace a resolve she had never truly acknowledged before. As Claire's enthusiasm for the program sparked a flicker of hope, Sarah recognized a profound shift. This was no longer merely a reconciliation. It was an opportunity for growth, hers, Claire's, and the lives they hoped to touch. Yet the thought of revisiting their shared history wafted over her, a ghostly presence that could easily thwart their new beginnings. "I think we should start by mapping out what this program could look like," Sarah suggested, her tone steady yet cautious. "What resources do we have? What gaps do we need to fill?" "Absolutely," Claire replied. But there was a hesitance in her nod that didn't escape Sarah. Claire was stepping into unfamiliar territory, one where every decision felt like fragile glass, likely to shatter under pressure. As they returned to the bustling areas of the shelter, Sarah couldn't ignore the curious glances cast their way, a mixture of respect and skepticism. Questions loomed large. Could they forge a new bond amidst the remnants of their past? Claire's phone buzzed, snapping her from deep thought. She glanced at it and frowned. "It's my boss. I need to check in about that upcoming presentation." A pang of disappointment pierced Sarah's resolve. The shelter had drawn them closer, yet it seemed the outside world was already calling Claire back. "Will you be long?" she asked, her voice a blend of concern and longing. "Just a moment. Let me handle this," Claire replied, her attention now fully drawn to her device. As she typed, Sarah stood anxiously by, contemplating the formidable distance still separating them. Each second felt like a test of her patience. Would Claire's commitment waver under the weight of her professional obligations? Taking a deep breath, Sarah resolved to channel this uncertainty into a proactive measure. If she was going to lead this initiative, she needed the confidence to stand alone at times. She pulled out her notepad, sketching the outline of the program. Fostering futures. Each letter pressed against the page like an anchor, grounding her in purpose. When Claire finally turned back, her eyes sparkled with a mixture of relief and urgency. "Sorry about that. We need to finalize the presentation for our sponsorship proposal. It's important." Her voice trailed off, laden with a hint of apology. "I get it," Sarah replied, suppressing her frustration. "But we need to prioritize this program too. It can't just be me advocating for it. We're a team." "You're right," Claire nodded, but there was a flicker in her eyes, uncertainty mingled with determination. "Let's schedule some time this week so we can brainstorm together. I want to be completely on board." As they finalized plans for their next meeting, Sarah couldn't dismiss the complex emotions swirling within her. She was proud of Claire's commitment, and yet anxious about how her personal responsibilities could intrude upon their shared venture. Drawing upon their collective experiences, both the pain and the triumphs, could open the door to a deeper understanding and a stronger collaboration. With everything decided, they shifted their focus back to the present. The sounds of playful barks echoing through the hallways, now almost rhythmic, as if an undercurrent of harmony tied the shelter together. But just as clarity emerged, the unexpected arrival of a new dog struck Sarah like a gust of wind. The dog, a scruffy little terrier, had clearly been abandoned. Despite its endearing quirks, The uncertainty of its future filled the air with a tension that mirrored Sarah's own. It darted around the floor, evading the grasp of volunteer hands desperate to comfort it. She couldn't help but see herself in this creature. Would it ever trust anyone again? "Can we help it?" Claire rushed forward, her instincts kicking into gear. "Let's figure out a safe space first," Sarah replied instinctively, the thoughts racing through her mind. They had just begun to embrace a future, yet old fears still lurked. As they both stepped forward, Sarah understood that they were each wrestling with their own histories, their shared passion for helping these animals serving as their new bond. The dog's frayed spirit reflected their own struggles, a reminder that healing was a non-linear journey. "Let's take this one step at a time," Sarah said, offering Claire a reassuring smile, meaning every word. But as they took the first steps toward bridging the gap, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this little dog represented the challenges still ahead. With their partnership put to the test, would their commitment withstand the trials waiting just beyond the horizon? Sarah knelt on the cool floor of the shelter, her heart racing as the little terrier darted past them once again. The chaotic energy in the air mirrored her own internal struggle. She felt rooted in the moment, but suffocated by uncertainty. What did this initiative mean for her, for Claire, for the myriad of lives they might touch? She wanted to help the dog, but the bigger picture loomed in her mind, the fragile partnership she was trying to build. "Claire," she began, steeling herself against the vulnerability that emerged whenever she confronted these deeper feelings. "We can't let our history dictate our future here. We both need to be present now." Claire paused, the instant gravity of Sarah's words washing over them both as they watched the dog, panting and trembling. "I know." There was something raw in her voice, an acknowledgement of the burden they were both carrying. "It's hard not to let it." She hesitated, glancing back at Sarah, the unspoken weight lingering as she searched for the right words. "Get in the way." "Yes, but we can only move forward if we confront that." Sarah's mind whirred with possibility. How do we make this work? How do we not only save this dog, but create something sustainable for others in the future? With determination, she grabbed her notepad once more, flipping open to the outline she had begun earlier. The stark white page felt charged with urgency as she scribbled down ideas, tapping into the frantic energy of their chaotic surroundings. A sudden bark pulled her back, redirecting her focus. The scruffy little terrier had found a corner and was pacing anxiously. It didn't just need help. It needed a purpose, something to counter its frazzled anxiety. In that moment, Sarah's resolve deepened. It wasn't just about salvaging a program but redefining her own sense of agency. "Let's call this dog Hope," Sarah declared suddenly, surprising herself with her choice. "It embodies what we're trying to do here. Give something lost the opportunity to trust again." Claire raised an eyebrow, an amused smile briefly breaking through the tension. "Hope it is, then." Yet Sarah could see something behind those eyes. Recognition of shared goals, ignited by a simple name. "I want us to create a safe space here," Sarah continued, and for the first time her vision felt clear. "We need structured programs for rehabilitation for animals like this, clear routines, training, and above all, a focus on emotional stability." Each word solidified her resolve, and she could almost hear the gears of change clicking into place. This plan wasn't just about the dog, it was about her progression as a leader. "And we can incorporate workshops for the volunteers, training them to engage not just with the animals, but with each other on how to foster this kind of environment," Claire added, her enthusiasm sharpening. As they collaborated, Sarah felt the neuroses of the past begin to fade. They were forming a real bond here, built on mutual purpose, rather than the shadows of previous decisions. Yet something nagged at the back of her mind. Would Claire still be committed when the pressure heightened, when real decisions had to be made? "Let's not ignore the resources we might need. I could see if we can secure funding, maybe even collaborate with local businesses," Claire mused. But Sarah caught the cautious undertone. "Collaboration means a commitment on both our parts, Claire. From here on out, I want us both in this fully." As their ideas began to take root, The energy of the shelter shifted. Every volunteer moving forward felt more determined, influenced by their palpable passion for fostering change. Sarah caught the terrier's eye, now peeking cautiously from its corner, and the connection felt as if a spark had ignited. But as they prepared to take the first steps toward executing their plans, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that Claire's lingering uncertainties could fracture what they were building. Can we truly navigate this path together, without losing ourselves in the process? She wondered silently, her commitment wavering against an unfamiliar horizon. The little dog, a metaphor for her own development, stood at the threshold of trust. Would she and Claire rise to the challenge? As Sarah collected her thoughts, a new urgency enveloped her. What came next would determine whether this collaboration had truly begun, or if it was doomed to fail before it bloomed. The day of transformation arrived as the sun cast golden rays over the clinic, illuminating Sarah's steadfast resolve. With every fiber of her being, she prepared for hope's unveiling as the embodiment of rebirth, not only for the little terrier, but also for herself and Claire. The collaboration that seemed so fragile just days before now felt intertwined with purpose, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Sarah stood at the forefront of the clinic while families filtered in, laughter intertwining with barking dogs. Max wagged his tail cheerfully by her side, the symbol of a promise fulfilled, a partnership reignited. As visitors descended upon the bright space, Sarah wanted not just to adopt out animals but to share stories of transformation. Her heart swelled with pride at the thought of each eager family finding hope in the eyes of a new companion, like she had done with Max. As she spotted Claire across the room, their eyes locked, a silent understanding passing between them. They had journeyed from tentative reintroduction to co-collaborators, allies in a mission far larger than either of them could have anticipated. The lingering shadows of their shared past seemed like distant echoes, a reminder of the progress made through faith and vulnerability. "Are you ready?" Claire approached, a blend of excitement and apprehension coloring her expression. "More than ever," Sarah affirmed, her voice full of conviction. "Today, we show everyone what we're capable of." With Claire coordinating logistics, Sarah propelled her vision into action, intertwining the emotional narratives of the dogs with the hopeful stories of adopters. Their collaborative unity shone brightly, woven from the threads of hard-earned respect and dedication. As Sarah narrated the journey of each dog, especially that of Hope, she witnessed the power of connection unfold. Attendees listened eagerly, empathizing with the struggles each animal had faced, and captivated by the realization that these creatures understood resilience just as they did. Hope is a reflection of every difficult choice we face in life, Sarah concluded her introduction, allowing the words to resonate deeply within her audience. By adopting her, you're not only saving a life, but encouraging your own journey of healing and second chances. As the attendees leaned forward, wrapped up in the emotion of the moment, their heartfelt desire to share their lives with these dogs showcased an undeniable shift within Sarah. She stood there fully present, no longer haunted by the regrets of her decisions. She had fought through the regrets, embraced her failures, and emerged stronger than ever. From a distance, Claire observed Sarah engrossed in her element, and a dawning realization washed over her. Not only had Sarah reclaimed her clinic, but she had also refashioned her identity into one of influence and resilience. The connection forged through hope blended their individual pursuits into a cohesive narrative of community, healing, and empowerment. As the event progressed into the afternoon, something magical unfolded. Adopters began to embrace the stories shared. Families stepped forward to announce their intention to adopt not just one, but multiple animals. Excitement echoed through the clinic as Hope pranced into the arms of a young girl who beamed with joy, the spark of kindred spirits igniting between them. Claire joined Sarah, both women on the precipice of recognizing the new chapter lying ahead. "I can't believe how well this turned out," Claire breathed, awestruck. "You were incredible." "So were you," Sarah replied, her heart full. "We did this together, didn't we?" Just then, a gentle nudge brushed against her leg. Max, with his warm, inviting eyes, echoed an acknowledgement of their way forward. Sarah had transformed from self-doubt into a beacon of hope, not only for lost animals, but for herself and Claire too. From doubt to determination, Sarah whispered, glancing back at Claire, who nodded in affirmation. Their shared commitment blossomed before them, two women bound by ambition and compassion. As dusk began to paint the sky with soft hues, the smiles of those who had adopted glimmered brightly, peppered throughout the clinic. Their bond with the animals echoed the healing journeys they embarked on, owning not just a pet, but a purpose. Max sat proudly alongside Hope, now in her forever home, rippling waves of contentment through the already vibrant clinic. In that moment, surrounded by newfound families and a warm sense of community, Sarah stood taller than ever. She had conquered her fears, embraced her past, and woven growth through every experience. Today we achieved so much. It's only the beginning, Claire mused, as she watched the joy unfold. Yes, Sarah agreed deeply. And from this point, the path remains open to countless possibilities. Turning to address the crowd one last time, Sarah couldn't help but feel a profound sense of accomplishment. Let us remember that together, we possess the power to restore love and hope to those in need, starting with our furry friends. With that rallying cry, her heart brimming with confidence, Sarah knew they were no longer shackled to the hurt of yesterday. They were champions of a brighter tomorrow, standing united among wounded souls, both human and animal, turning trials into triumphs, bridging healing to hope. There was no turning back. Success vibrated in the air, responsive to their spirit. And as they prepared for their next initiative, Sarah felt a quiet strength hum from within, a recognition that she had not only rebuilt her clinic, but also renewed herself in the process. If you found this story impactful, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support and experience more exclusive, heartwarming stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us spread these inspiring tales further. Don't wait even one more second to share this emotional journey with at least 5 friends who need to see this life-affirming conclusion. Comment below with your reactions and theories as we embark on this shared journey of resilience and hope.